There's a vast difference between goals and creating a vision for your life. I want to dive into this, and then we're gonna work on some of the more, maybe a little more esoteric parts of creating the life of your dreams. There's a difference between goals and vision. When you set goals and you're trying to achieve and accomplish goals, what you're really trying to do is you're just trying to create that outcome or that accomplishment or that achievement. You want to see that achievement come to fruition. That's what a goal is about. And I know that's pretty basic and pretty simplistic, but when compared to a vision, it's vastly different, because what having a vision for your life means, it's you've gotten clear about the quality of life that you want to live. It's much more than goals. If you do your vision correctly, you're going to have goals inside of your vision that you're going to work towards and set out to accomplish. Maybe they're health goals, maybe they're financial goals, maybe they're in my vision, the number of students that I'm looking to create in my mastermind, and I want 100 students in my mastermind. So there's certain metric aspects of your vision, and this is all good stuff. But the reason a vision is more important, I feel it's more important than goals, is because goals is just about achieving a certain outcome, but a vision is about how you intend and expect to live your life. It's your quality of life. It's the plan and the progression of your quality of life to upgrade the experience that you have while you're breathing. I hope this makes sense. If you've ever heard someone say that they accomplished a goal and then they just moved the needle and moved the target, now the goal just got farther out, that's because goals don't bring by themselves a higher quality of life. You'll be satisfied with goal accomplishment for about 10 seconds, and then you'll move the needle, you'll move the target. A vision, having an awesome, powerful vision of your life, is all about raising and elevating and evolving the entire quality of life and the existence that you're living. Now that we've set that up, there's a couple things that we get to do in order to create this vision for your life. But I'm going to tell you one that's been probably the hardest for me. If I like to express that there's a gap and a distance between where you are, where I am, and where my life is headed. The vision that I have for my life, and I'll use this in your terms. You have your current state and you have your future state, and there's a gap. Now, most grind gurus and hustle whores will just tell you work harder. But in this gap, in this distance between where you are and where you want to be, there's a tactical distance that's about 5% of that distance, and there's a psychological distance that's about 95% of that distance. Now, the grind gurus and hustle whores will kick your ass and tell you to work hard and harder and hardest to close that 5% tactical gap. But there's a smarter way. There's a much smarter way. The psychological distance is the reason that tactical, the actions that you take, are so hard when they are so. Inside of that psychological distance, inside of that psychological gap to the life of your dreams, there's doubt, there's fear, there's maybe a concern that you can't, that it's not available to you. There's some level of maybe skepticism. There's cynicism. Maybe there's a lack of commitment. We've talked about commitment a lot over the last couple of weeks. Maybe there's a lack of commitment. Maybe you're planning for your escape. Well, if I don't hit X number of students, then I'll just lower the bar to 75, right? You're already planning an escape from that target that you set. All of these things are part of the psychological distance to your vision. Now, what I recommend is in your, I guess in more esoteric terms, this process is called letting go. It's basically releasing all of that shit. Now, this stuff, this doubt and the skepticism and the cynicism and the holding back of commitment, these are all inside of your mind and your body. These are all resistance. All resistance to your goals is in your mind and body. Okay? The world is not going to keep you from accomplishing and achieving what you want to accomplish. It doesn't matter what the market looks like. It doesn't matter what the economy looks like. It doesn't matter what your skills and your talents. There's people that are less skilled than you, making more money and more successful. There are people less talented than you that have crushed it. So it's not just about skills and talent. It's not about the economy. It's not about the market. It's about the resistance that you have, that you experience inside of you on the way to accomplishing your goals. All resistance is inside of you. All wealth is created inside of you. All poverty is created inside of you. All success is created inside of you. All failure is created inside of you. All health is created inside of you. And all disease is created inside of you. These things are not things in the world. They are things that start and end inside of you. I hope this is making sense. Now, the psychological distance can be closed by using this simple technique. If you think, like one of my targets in my vision is 100 students in my mastermind. Now, when I think of that, when I really like close my eyes and get clear about my relationship with that target, where I am and where I want to be, when I get really clear about the relationship, it feels far away. It feels like it's going to take me a long time in order to accomplish that goal, to get to that level, to be able to achieve that. It feels months, years down the road. That is the psychological distance. That is a direct example of the psychological distance to your goals, to my goals. Now, the process of letting go and the process of release is basically going inside of your mind and body and finding where this resistance, finding where this psychological distance is and letting it go. In essence, when you let it go, you are literally bringing that timeline in. And you're changing the relationship that you have with that timeline. Instead of like, if I go inside my mind and body and think 100 students, it's going to take me years. And I start to whittle that away and I start to reshape the edges. And I start to, well, why do I feel it's impossible to do it now? Why do I feel, is there something that can create this now? Is it possible right now? What makes it impossible? Do I think it's ever happened for someone before? Asking these simple questions, and the simple answers to all of these are yes. It is possible now. It has happened to somebody before. It is possible. There's nothing that's keeping it from being possible. But in my mind and my body, I am making it impossible when it's possible because of the story that I have in my mind and my body. Now, when I start to let go of the story that I have, that timeline from, that goal being years away to now, it starts to break down. That story starts to break down. The impossible becomes possible. The impossible becomes probable. When we start to understand our relationship with that goal, and we start to notice the doubt or the skepticism or cynicism or the escape plan or the fear, when we start to recognize all of this mess in our stories, because listen, in the absence of this resistance, your goals are already true. Like as soon as all the resistance is gone from your mind and your body, your goals will be true. And this is what Think and Grow Rich and The Science of Getting Rich and The Strangest Secret and As a Man Thinketh, some of the greatest books in The Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. These books all say the same thing. I've said this over and over, is the resistance is inside of you, and the actions, as soon as the resistance is gone, you'll take the action required to make that outcome a reality. So in essence, what we're doing is when we understand our relationship and we start to see the doubt and we start to see the skepticism and the cynicism, we start to see the lack of commitment for what they really are, and we start to let go of those stories, we're basically collapsing the timeline. And as we collapse the timeline, as you let go of those stories, I guarantee you, it will feel more and more, your outcome will feel more and more available, and it will feel closer and closer to you every time you let go of a story. 95% of all of your gap and distance and resistance in this world is inside of you, in your stories, in your beliefs, in your perspectives, in your mental and emotional makeup. And it's letting these go that's going to expedite your outcomes. Now, in the spiritual world, this is also called raising your vibration and raising your frequency. Doesn't matter what you call it. The name, the label is meaningless. But as you let go of those stories that make that outcome seem so far away, and you close that gap, you're basically making the probability of that happening, like, it expedites it. It speeds it up. When you're holding a vision for your life, the easiest way for that vision to not come true is to believe it's not possible. Taking action on a vision for your life that you believe is not possible makes it not possible for you. It's possible for somebody else that believes it is. But taking action towards a goal or a vision that you feel is impossible makes it impossible for you, because all your actions will be half-assed. They'll lack commitment. They'll lack energy. They'll lack intensity. They'll lack fortitude and grit. They'll lack energy. And you won't be going all in. So what we can do in essence is attack this vision in two ways. First of all, we get really clear about what we want in our health and our wealth and the impact we want to make in the world and our relationships. We get really clear about that. But the next step, part of the next step, is in letting go and releasing all the worry and the doubt and the fear and all the internal baggage that we have contained within our mind and body that would give us any feeling or any thought or any inclination that the outcome is far away or there's a distance to it. And as we do that, we take inspired action towards that thing that we're trying to achieve. And as that doubt goes away, as it dissipates, as the fear dissipates, as the worry dissipates, as the skepticism and the cynicism, as they dissipate, as all that internal resistance dissipates, the actions, the inspired actions that you take towards your goal will absolutely become more powerful. Your dreams are closer than you think they are. They're right there. No matter how far away they feel, no matter how far away you're convinced, no matter how long you think it's going to take, they're closer than you think. And the only reason you think they're so far away is because of the internal resistance that you're experiencing. What releasing and letting go looks like is closing your eyes and seeing the story, evaluating the story that you're holding about this thing, seeing it. Right now, I've got my eyes closed. If you're watching this on video, got my eyes closed. You see the story that you're telling yourself. You see the belief. You see this resistance for what it is. And you just literally, like, I know it sounds esoteric, but you just watch it evaporate. And any emotion in your body that's trapped underneath of that story, because every story has emotion trapped underneath of it. And every story that you see that you allow to dissipate and dissolve, the emotion that's buried underneath of that story, it lets go as well. And as you do this work, it might feel like you're not getting anywhere with this stuff, but I assure you, you are. Every time you allow a piece of your internal story, the internal narrative that's keeping you from your goals, your vision, your dreams, every time you let go of a story, you're getting closer and closer to having your dreams come true. Because as you let go of the mental component, the story, the emotion that's keeping you from that, it evaporates. And this is what closes the psychological distance. Now, you cannot do this work. You can opt to not do this psychological component of the work. You can opt to not do the belief work. You can opt to not do the release and the letting go technique. But what you're doing is that 5% tactical distance, you're making that all of it. And it's going to be a lot harder to do that 5% when the 95% is still in place. It's going to require 10 times the effort, 10 times the stress, 10 times the energy, all because the psychological component is in place. And this is why taking action on a goal that you don't believe is possible, it'll get you nowhere. It'll get your wheels spinning in mud. But when you really take inventory about the internal resistance, the psychological distance to your goal, to your vision, to your dreams, and get really clear about what those stories are, and you start letting them go, watch how fast your dreams come true. Now, early on in my coaching business, when I first started, I wanted 10 clients, 10K, 10 clients, 10K. And I did this work to let go of the resistance because there were stories in my body. There were stories in my mind. Who the fuck are you to have clients in a coaching business? Who would hire you? All of these were stories of doubt. They were stories of skepticism and cynicism about why I wasn't valuable enough to have 10 clients, 10K per month in my coaching business. They were stories in my mind and body. That was what was keeping the clients away. I know that sounds esoteric as fuck, but stories inside of you will keep you from seeing opportunities that exist, but you're blind to them because of the stories. Now, as I let go of those stories, of the doubt, of the not worth it, of the who's going to hire you, as I let go of these and I let go of the emotion that was buried underneath of them, the shame and the guilt and the fear as I let go of this emotion. One time I was at the whiteboard in my office, and I was writing down my clients. Before you know it, I had exceeded 10 clients and 10K per month of active income. This stuff works. I've witnessed it with my own eyes, and I've seen it over and over in my coaching business, that when you get really clear about what you want, you do the work, psychological work, to let go of anything that disrupts your total and absolute belief that it's probable and closer than you think, and you take inspired action, you will create your vision. And this is how you raise the level of your entire quality of life. Now, look, one of my favorite books is The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. And he says, look, this work is easy to do, and it's easy not to do. And it really is up to you. But I just gave you the best description that I could possibly give you about exploring inside of you to find out what kind of resistance you have and start the process of letting that go. And this work is really, really easy to do, but it's also really, really easy to ignore. And if you ignore it and get nowhere, but yet you're holding on to the stories because you didn't want to do this work, this is where I have to say, I love you, but fuck your excuses. This work is too easy to do to not do. All it requires is that you close your eyes and you explore inside of yourself. I know that's probably one of the most frightening places on the face of the earth to you, especially when you're starting out on this journey, this personal and self-discovery journey, going inside of your mind and body to see what's really in there. It's terrifying. But when you see the internal angst, when you see the worry and the doubt, and you see the self-hatred and the self-torment, when you see the neglect and you start to let it go and you start to resolve these internal conflicts that you have and your life starts getting better, that's when you know that you really, really wanted a higher quality of life. Until then, it's just wishful thinking. So listen, do the meditative work. Close that psychological distance, and the tactical distance will essentially close itself. Because a body and a mind that believes in the impossible makes the impossible come true.